World's freshwater supply is mostly from hydrologic cycle. The system works well, but not until people overloaded it with wastes, trashes, plus overconsumption. Human activities like vegetation removal and draining wetlands for the sake of building infrastructures have contributed to a sharp rise in water shortage, flood, ocean pollution, and groundwater pollution. When calamities come, its hardest hit will cause flood. It threatens the lives of the people, even its properties. Flood kills thousands of people each year. Flood causes tens of billions of property damage.
There are so many ways on how cities and municipalities could address flooding. First is, of course, implementation of Ecological Service Management Act. Second is cleaning of dredging, review of some waterways and canals, because most of those are already silted. So dredging in some instances, dredging or clean up operations in many instances may help prevent flooding. Also, setting up good planning, urban design, because you don't, especially in very congested areas like, for example, Metro Manila, you could see infrastructures on top of, for example, a waterway or another estero. This waterway should be free of any obstacle. But you could see maybe a company decided to build an extension in this portion of the river for the expansion. For example, answer is really to implement ecological service management and to phase out, for example, products or packaging that are main conflict, like for example plastic bags, like what Muntinlupa City has done. The reason why they ban plastic bags in the cities because they want to reduce they want to prevent flooding in the city, and second, they want to reduce the cost of dredging and cleanup operations, because most of the materials that they excavate during cleanup and dredging are plastic dumps. So that's the reason why they decided to ban plastic dumps within the city.
Approximately 31% of illness monitored for a 5-year period were caused by waterborne sources in the Philippines. Diarrhea, a condition of loose bowel movement caused by contaminated water. It has been a common cause of death in developing countries, second most common cause of infant deaths, including the Philippines. Dengue, an infectious disease from mosquitoes who breed in small water collections. Dengue hemorrhagic fever is today the leading cause of childhood death in several Asian countries. Malaria, transmitted by mosquitoes which breed in fresh or occasionally brackish water. WHO estimates over 1 million deaths each year. Typhoid, common worldwide illness transmitted by ingestion of food or water contaminated with feces of an infected person. Schistosomiasis, a parasitic disease caused by a species of fluke in infected water. Amoebiasis, the third most common cause of death from parasitic infection. Arsenicosis, drinking water rich in arsenic over a long period of time. Cholera, an intestinal infection caused by ingestion of contaminated water or food. Fluorosis, in severe cases caused by above level of fluoride. Leptospirosis, a bacterial disease by contact with a urine-contaminated environment. Coastal areas bear pollutants and wastes into the ocean. Most coastal developing countries dump trash into the ocean without treatment. Many ships dump wastes into the sea, and this is illegal. Runoffs of sewage and agricultural wastes into chemical waters introduce nitrate and phosphate, which cause explosive growth of algae. This could lead to red tide. They can release waterborne or airborne toxins that damages other aquatic and aerial animals. One of the worst pollutants of ocean water is oil. Guimaras oil spill is one example. This is due to water tanker accidents, waste oil, spilled, dumped, or leaked oil by urban and industrial runoff.
Ocean pollution, what's happening in the terrestrial ecosystem, because the oceans is our natural gate, meaning all the effluents, all the pollutants coming from the land ends up in the ocean. Because there's no gravity in the ocean that will, for example, produce pollutants. Coral systems or fishes will not produce pollutants, marine animals will not produce pollutants. So all the pollutants, all the pollution in our ocean came from really from the land, from the terrestrial side. So what are the major pollutants in the oceans? The same as what are the major pollutants in our freshwater bodies? Plastics, cigarette butts, everything, biodegradable materials, everything that we throw in our waterways, in our rivers, in our canals, and all of that ends up in the sea and eventually ends up in the ocean. Actually, one of the very example of major water, of how polluted is the ocean, the Pacific Ocean. There's a place in the Pacific Ocean, in the middle of the Pacific. They call it the Pacific Gyre. It's an area in the Pacific where all the currents from every continent, in Asia, in South America, and in North America meet up. And in that area, you could see so many that satellite images of that area, the size of the area where there's so many floating plastics is as big as the state of Texas of America. So that's a great example of how plastic pollution, for example, has a very major impact in our oceans. And that only on the Pacific, there's also giants, for example, in the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and one of the main pollutants that you could see are plastics floating in these areas.
Human activities that cause water pollution slowly contaminates underground water, which results to undrinkable water and unusable for irrigation. This problem is serious in coastal areas of Manila. It takes decades to clean itself from degradable wastes. Unfortunately, we don't notice this because it is placed underground. Let's watch this short clip explaining how underground pollution happens.
Dr. Mahler is studying what happens in aquifers with a class of contaminants known as PAHs.
You can kind of imagine, most aquifers you could think of as a big sandbox. And the karst aquifer you'd think of maybe as a block of concrete that you'd cracked and then dissolved out some tubes through it, a system of tubes. And if you were to pour something poisonous, like a pesticide or an herbicide or some other type of contaminant on top of those two systems, but it would move really slowly through the sand grain aquifer, and some of it would stick to the sand grains and some of it would get filtered out, whereas in the karst aquifer it would just be funneled or focused into those zones of what we call preferential flow, those pipes going through the rocks. So in karst aquifers there's this very important interaction between what goes on at the surface and what goes on underground, because they're so closely connected. So really anything that we use at the surface is going to find its way underground, and it's going to find its way underground quickly, and it's going to move through the underground very, very quickly to come out at spring.
Groundwater pollution, it's more difficult because surface water, you can easily identify pollution, but not really, not in all cases also. But that's one of the major issues really that for example, eco-restoration is also working on. That's the reason why we always work on the precautionary principle idea that for us, toxic facilities should not be in environmentally critical areas. Even though these facilities may comply with the environmental standards of the country, we don't have check and balance mechanism to really see or the community can identify if this plant complies or not to environmental standards. They could, for example, it's an ordinary thing for example, facilities to dump their waste, toxic waste or water waste during rainy season. So they have for example, an outlet which is closed during maybe a dry season or summer. But when there's a heavy rain, they release the bulb so that no one can identify that they release these toxic pollutants to the river. So for us, we really work on the precautionary side. We use toxic technologies to be built inside environmentally critical areas, because once the groundwater became polluted, it's really a very big problem, and it's very costly to rehabilitate that. If it's very costly to rehabilitate a river, definitely it's more expensive to rehabilitate a contaminated groundwater. climate change has resulted to many problems. And in terms of water, its major impact is in the dwindling of freshwater resources, and especially right now that there are so many very glaring impacts on weather patterns, extreme weather conditions. So there's extreme drought and then extreme wetness. So it has major impact, especially on the groundwater reserves of small island countries and archipelagic countries like the Philippines. And also, it has great impact in communities that are very dependable on groundwater reserves and freshwater water bodies for their drinking purposes or for utilization purposes.
Almost 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered by water. Water is very vital to every organism. Where did water come from?
Surface water is all bodies of water on the Earth's surface. Rivers are flowing bodies of water. Lakes are large inland body of fresh water or salt water. Wetlands are marsh and swampland area. Streams are narrow and shallow river. Seas are a great body of salt water that covers a large portion of the earth. Oceans are the whole body of salt water on the earth. From these sources of water come its different uses. Water can be used for washing, drinking, watering plants, washing dishes, taking a bath, brushing teeth, washing clothes, irrigating crops, car washing, and many more.
Manila Bay is known for having a beautiful sunset view. Filipinos often spend their time here during weekends to lessen the burden they have. They commonly spend their time with their family. But now, this is Manila Bay. Literally, it smells like a dump. Its black-colored water made it look like a canal. People still go here, swim, eat, and stroll, regardless of the harm it may bring, the consequences of water pollution. What is water pollution? Water pollution is any change in water quality that harms humans or other living organisms or makes water unsuitable for desired uses. It comes from point and non-point sources. Point sources discharge pollutants at specific locations through drain pipes, ditches, and sewer lines into bodies of water. While non-point sources are broad, diffuse areas from which pollutants enter bodies of water. Here are the major water pollutants. Infectious agents cause diseases. It comes from human and animal wastes. Oxygen-demanding wastes deplete dissolved oxygen needed by aquatic species. It comes from sewage, animal feedlots, food processing facilities, and pulp mills. Plant nutrients cause excessive growth of algae and other species. It comes from sewage, animal wastes, and inorganic fertilizers. Organic chemicals add toxins to aquatic systems. It comes from industry, farms, and households. Inorganic chemicals also add toxins to aquatic systems. It comes from industry, households, and surface runoff. Sediments disrupt photosynthesis, food webs, and other processes. It comes from land erosion. Heavy metals cause cancer and disrupt immune and endocrine systems. It comes from unlined landfills, household chemicals, mining refuse, and industrial destruction. Thermal makes some species vulnerable to disease. It comes from electric power and industrial plants. Water is precious, as they say, but why some of us, or most of us, use water responsibly?
Water pollution has become a big problem. Even though there are strong laws that have been set up as water pollution solutions to help prevent further pollution from taking place, there is still a lot of work to be done. According to some environmental organizations, approximately 40% of lakes, rivers, and streams are not safe to fish in or swim in due to water pollution. There are many laws in place that offer water pollution solutions, but they are not always effectively enforced. One very simple way to have more effective water pollution solution would be to enforce the rules that are already in place. While we need to see to it that the government is stringent about seeing to it that there are adequate treatment plants to treat sewage, and seeing to it that industries have treatment plants and nuclear plants have proper waste storage systems for radioactive material, and so on.
Having a sewage treatment facility is really a mandatory right now, because one of our main objectives, one of the climate adaptation measures that the government should adapt is to preserve or rehabilitate our remaining ecosystem. So by having a sewerage treatment facility, it prevents pollutants from entering this water body. I think the only concern is that it's very expensive, really. It's very expensive. But it's really a necessity right now, because one of our main objectives as part of our climate adaptation program that the government must do is to preserve our remaining and to preserve and rehabilitate our ecosystems and our groundwater reserves. So we believe that having maintaining sewage treatment facilities is really a necessity that the government should implement. There are so many chemicals right in the world, and the sewage treatment facility cannot really it can only address some basic, for example, basic pollutants, like for example maybe E. coli or some minor known chemicals. And one of the major pollutants that the Eco-Waste Coalition is really working on are, for example, the already identified, for example, heavy metals, like for example, mercury, lead, cadmium, etc. Because these elements, these are basic elements, meaning you cannot break them down. They are not chemical compounds that you can break down into simple elements. And by nature, these elements are very, very toxic. For example, lead are neurotoxic. When it enters the system of, for example, of a person or a child, one of its impact is it lowers IQ, it prevents development of reproductive and nervous systems, so many. On the bay in Palawan, in Snake Island, it's a famous area in Palawan, one of the tourist areas in Puerto Princesa. But in that area, there's a advisory from the local government of Puerto Princesa not to advising everyone not to eat fish caught in that area because of mercury pollution. And maybe you already heard some jokes that tuna have so many fish, so tunas have so many mercury, so you don't have to eat so many tuna. Have you heard that? Because in other countries there are advisories that they don't allow certain kinds of fish because of so many mercury contamination. And the problem with this element, like mercury in lead, once it enters your body, it doesn't dissolve. It bioaccumulates, meaning it resides in your fatty tissues, and then it accumulates more and more until it causes major impact into your system. And another clear example is because of its nature of bioaccumulation. When a fish, for example, managed to be contaminated with the mercury, and a bigger fish eats this small fish, the level of mercury bioaccumulates, it doubles. And then another big fish, and then a person. So the level of mercury that the small fish, for example, it bioaccumulates in the food chain, and then when you eat a contaminated fish, the level of the mercury doubles up. So that's and precisely this kind of elements doesn't biodegrade. So waste treatment facilities help, but it's not only the solution. The real solution is really to phase out the use of these toxic chemicals, prevent their entry into our water systems and our water bodies, and then mandate, for example, manufacturers and industries not to use these already identified toxic chemicals in their production systems, or it will end up being burned or being disposed in our river waters.
There are many things that we can do individually to prevent water pollution. Here are a few ways to prevent water pollution. Dispose of your trash in a proper manner and try and incorporate the recycling habit as far as possible. Non-degradable products like sanitary napkins and diapers should not be flushed down the toilet, for this can end up damaging the process of sewage treatment and usually end up as litter on beaches. Also, actively conserve water by turning the tap off when you do not need running water, such as while brushing teeth, washing your face, or washing the dishes. Apart from preventing water shortages, it lessens the amount of water that needs to be treated. Maintain septic systems properly. Have the septic tank cleaned out every 3 to 5 years. Effluent from failed or poorly maintained septic systems can contaminate groundwater. Monitoring and cleaning your system regularly also saves money by prolonging the life of the system. Check leaks. Hidden water leaks can be wasting water without you noticing it. A good way to check leak is by looking at your water meter. Read your water meter, and for a couple of hours, don't use any water. Then go back and check if it reads the same. If not, then it has leaks. Take short shower than a bath. This will help you save up to 400 liters of water per week. Don't overfill kettle or water heater when making a cup of tea. Only fill and boil what you need. Only use washing machine and dishwasher when you can put full load. It wastes both water and energy to run only a half full machine. Think before throwing used water down the drain. It may be used for car wash, plants, and toilet flush. Install a water butt in a garden to collect rain for garden use. Don't overuse hose and sprinkler. Refrain from throwing litter into streams, lakes, rivers, or seas. If you do spot litter on beaches or in water systems, after ascertaining that it is safe, collect them and dispose of them in any nearby waste disposal system. Drive your vehicle less. Walk instead. That will mean your vehicle is putting less petroleum pollution into our waters. Be an activist. support laws and programs to protect our water. Ask officials to control polluted runoff, increase protection for wetlands and other aquatic ecosystems, reduce the flow of toxics into our waterways, and strengthen enforcement. Volunteer for a beach or stream cleanup, tree planting, water quality sampling, or stream pollution monitoring project, sponsored by a local environmental group or watershed council. Governments and corporations can respond to both types of petropollution by raise water price, maintain slow population growth, protect forests and other ecosystems that store and release water, keep toxic waste out of the environment, proper waste disposal for flood control, ban sea or ocean dumping by ships and by seaside dwellers, regulate oil shipping.
Water pollution is a serious problem, and the only way to fix it is by finding solutions to the problem. Only when industry and consumers work together to solve the water pollution problem through water pollution solutions will we be able again to enjoy clean drinking water without the need for filtration. Water pollution is all of our problem, so we all need to be a part of the solution. Our fragile earth needs a voice. It needs solutions. It needs change. It needs action. Act. Volunteer. Donate.
Light straw. Light straw is a device designed by the company Gard Fredson. It is used to filter unclean water by using only physical filtration. It provides clean and safe drinking water for everyone. It filters and removes 99.9% of waterborne bacteria, viruses, and parasites. It is available to most developing countries and also here in the Philippines. Low-flow toilets are toilets designed to use only a maximum of 1.28 gallons of water or less every flush, unlike common toilets that use 1.6 gallons of water per flush. Low-flow toilets may help save a family 4,000 gallons of water a year. Low-flow shower heads are shower heads that use less water but still have the same flow with a normal shower head. It mixes water with air to deliver the same flow a normal shower head can deliver. It only uses 7.6 liters of water per minute. It is much less compared to the common shower head version of the 9.5 liters of water per minute. A low-flow shower head can save up to 7,655 gallons per year. The less water used washing machine minimizes the use of water. It only consumes 1 to 5 cups of water depending on the size of laundry. The machine is very eco-friendly. Aside from using less water, it also consumes less electricity and does not use any detergent. The machine uses small polymer beads that attract stain and dirt. When done washing, these beads are collected by the machine. These polymer beads can be used hundreds of times. The Pasig River Rehabilitation is an ongoing development led by the government and administered by Pasig River Rehabilitation Commission or PRRC. The PRRC implemented different projects and programs like Environmental Dredging Project, Clean River Zone, resettlements, and the revival of the Pasig River ferry system. Other non-governmental organizations help and support the rehabilitation of the river by launching different activities that educate and inform the people about the state of the river. The Mesa Watershed is a 2,700-hectare reservoir that supplies water in Metro Manila and over 12 million people. Years ago, the watershed was deforested and destroyed by illegal logging and polluted by the squatters in the area, resulting to pollution and lack of water supply. Through the efforts of the Metropolitan Water and Sewage System, and with the help of ABS-CBN Foundation and donors, most of the areas of the reservoir was rehabilitated and reforested. Today, the MWSS continues to protect, develop, and rehabilitate some of the ruined parts of the La Mesa watershed.
because we are one of the most vulnerable countries in the world in terms of climate change impacts. And we really need to step up. Last week, we drafted the different sectors of our country, the government, the NGOs, civil societies, academia, drafted an action plan. And all of us identified water as one of the key issues that need to be addressed in the government. And some of the proposals that came up on that is first, to immediately rehabilitate our ecosystems. Second is to prevent pollutants from going into our water bodies and our water reserves. Third is to improve water harvesting and water catchment system. Another, to ensure the equity of water utilization and distribution. Everyone, meaning poor families, rich families, should have unequal access and equal utilization of water, of our remaining water resources. To step up and for us to be able to realize that water is a really major issue that we need to focus on and we need to work on to be able to survive the next decade of the green climate scenario that is already being predicted by many countries and many leaders of the world.
Wala ka bang napapansin